Okay, today having an incredibly lazy Sunday. I am a burrito today, and the weather is really crappy. It's going to storm. So today I want to watch one of my comfort. It has become a comfort anthology for me. I absolutely love Southbound. This is going to be the only rewatch this. My camera died as I was filming that, so here on my phone. Let's go grab the movie. Nothing exciting on our disc, unfortunately. This makes me a little sad because they missed a really big opportunity to make this a little more dynamic, if I do say so myself. Yeah, that was definitely, I absolutely, like, one thing I appreciate about this movie, I should say, is that I love how it connects from beginning to end, back to the beginning again. I think this one is really well done, and even though some of the, like, segments aren't as strong as the other ones, there's some really nasty, significant gore, and I mean, I'll get into all that, but I love this movie, and I think it's a really well done, really great anthology if you give it the time. Okay, we are finally talking about Southbound on this channel. I have seen this movie countless times. Over the past, like, not too long, I feel like this is like my third or fourth time watching it. But this is an anthology from 2015. I thought it was from 2017 at first, but 2015 anthology, essentially about 5 very dreadful stories that all take place on a highway heading south. First, I'm going to talk about some things I enjoyed about this, some things I didn't like about it, and then we're going to get into the full breakdown of every story, so stay tuned for this. If you enjoyed this video and you like more in-depth movie reviews, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out my main channel for reaction videos, and let's break down Southbound. So one thing I really love about this movie is the just overall arching feeling of dread and misfortune. And even, like, being watched. Like, you feel, like, you know that the characters are being watched, so you feel like, I don't know, just kind of like, ugh. This entire movie is, like I mentioned, centered around a highway that seemingly has no end, and all of its visitors are stalked by these spooky spinal cord looking monsters, which brings me to my next thought. I really love the, like, monster design. Like, they're not monsters, they're just like creature designs, because they're just, I feel like they are like a horror, like, okay, the Dementors, Harry Potter, they are scary. Like, when I was a kid, they were scary. These are like super spiny, like organ entrails, spinal cord, just like everything hanging out of their lower half, and their heads split open, and I just think they're so cool and so original. That is one of my favorite creature designs. The beginning and the end story bookend and wrap up this entire movie in such a way that I wasn't expecting, and I think it is so phenomenal, but I will get into that more. It is really tense and gross. There is a lot of really good body horror in this. I really love that the fact that it's not a narrator and it's not like, I don't know, it's a highway that ties it all together. It's an actual thing, not like an overarching story, you know? I mean, I guess it is, it's more of a theme, but like a theme that doesn't have to really get explained after each segment. They just kind of blend into one another. Things I didn't like very quickly, the runtime. It's only 89 minutes long, so an hour and a half, but it feels in some parts that it drags a little bit. Just a little bit. And in my opinion, the jailbreak segment is the worst, or the weakest, I would say, but I will get more into that in just a second. Let's start from the beginning of the movie with the segment entitled The Way Out. We're starting off with getting out. They are running away from our spooky, spiny monster creatures and obviously feeling some sort of remorse or guilt. Mitch is staring at a photo of his daughter. We don't have any backstory yet on that, but we will. But anyways, they are driving down a highway and they are now being followed by our spooky, scary skeleton creatures. Did I say that from the beginning? Did I already mention that they were being followed? Because that is an overarching, like I said, an overarching theme is the watching, the following. Keep that in mind. Anyways, the pair pull up at a gas station still being stalked. And as they pull up, they attempt to leave once again, only to drive down a little further and end up at the same gas station. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to be a time loop and I was really upset about it. But hold your butts, because it's not. It's better than a time loop. Anyways, one of our main characters here, Jack, tries to leave and he is, spoiler alert, killed by one of the creatures. And Mitch, our other main character, accepting his fate, follows one of the remaining creatures back to a hotel. A motel. It's definitely a motel. He enters a familiar room and hears his daughter's voice, and as he goes to follow her, he enters a familiar room, hears his daughter's voice, sees a little apparition of a small body and goes to follow it, and as he does, she begs for help and runs away. Mitch ends up being trapped in that cycle, continuously running after his daughter, asking for help and not being able to get to her, and that is some sort of punishment for him. We'll get into that later, but it is more or less punishment for him. It is more or less guilt because he could not save his daughter, and like I said, hold on to your butts. The door closes in one room and we open to another room. We are introduced to 3 girls in a band called the White Tights, not to be confused with the White Stripes. Anyways, they're getting ready to hit the road. On the way, they are stalked once again by our floaty creatures, and their van breaks down, as it does in horror movies. Reluctantly, they are picked up by a couple who gives off the worst vibes. In the backseat of their car, there is a bear trap that just goes dismissed, but don't forget about that. Anyways, the girls go to their home with the promise that their neighbors, the Kensingtons, would be able to fix their van. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they just left that van on the side of the road. Sadie is the one character with fucking common sense in this segment, and she hears the mention of their late friend Alex, but that goes unnoticed by the other 2 girls that she was with. At dinner, a disgusting roast beef is served, but once again, Sadie, the only one with common sense, is a vegetarian and does not eat any of the mystery meat. After dinner, the other 2 girls blame Sadie for their friend's death, but immediately the 2 girls are sick and begin throwing up black, just gross. And by the couple, they are given medicine that puts them into a trance, as it goes in a horror movie. And Sadie tries to get the others to leave, but it doesn't work. So what do? They all go to sleep. But that night, Sadie has a nightmare of the night their friend was killed in a car accident, awaking in the middle of the night to find her 2 friends and pretty much everyone else in the house gone. They are around a bonfire participating in a ritual, a cult. Sadie, while walking through the woods spying on the cult, gets stuck in a bear trap. The other 2 girls chase Sadie down until she runs into a nearby shed, where she is stopped by an apparition of their dead friend Alex. She runs into the road, absolutely terrified, and the segment ends while she is trying to get a car to stop to notice her while still being stalked by the floating creatures. Alright, segment 3, the accident. Oh, I didn't even mention segment part 2 was called The Siren. But segment part 3 is called The Accident, where we are introduced to Lucas driving down a highway, unaware of his surroundings, talking to his girlfriend, super unaware of Sadie in the middle of the road, hits her, almost fatally wounding her, to the point where she is literally dying and he is standing over her body asking if she is okay. Where is the common sense on this man? Obviously, it went out the window when she got wrecked. Anyways, he calls 911 and he is unable to determine his location, but somehow an EMT is certified. EMT gets on the phone to tell Lucas to drive her to a nearby hospital. And when he gets to that hospital, the hospital is completely empty. This is where one of my favorite parts in this whole movie happens. Her leg just completely falls apart, and I think it is so gruesome and so fun. But the EMT tries to get him to perform life-saving medical techniques on this poor girl, to the point where he gets instructed to cut open her body, work her like a puppet, and massage her lungs to get her to start breathing again, where he crushes her lungs and kills her. And then maniacal laughing starts blaring through the phone. Absolutely terrified, as one should be, he tries to escape, but the doors are locked and chained up. He can't leave. After, Lucas's phone rings and a voice asks him to walk them through the incident. It is agreed that Lucas did not deserve what happened to him, and the voice tells him that he can leave. Mysteriously, he gets new clothes, a new car, and he just drives away, but he is still being followed by our dangly creatures. And this is where we are introduced to our fourth segment, Jailbreak. This is the one that I think is the weakest, the most disconnected from the story. I don't know. But we are introduced to a woman at a phone booth who ends up being the phone operator that Lucas was talking to in the previous segment, which I don't get it because, Anyways, that same woman hangs up the phone and walks into a bar called The Trap. We are introduced to a character named Danny, who is on the hunt for his missing sister. Her name is Jessie. Danny bursts into the bar, The Trap. I think that's so funny. I don't know why it doesn't seem that hardcore, you know? These people seem a lot more hardcore than The Trap. Anyways, Danny busts in there with a shotgun, demanding to know where his sister is. People at the bar, one of them being Loose Jack from Orange is the New Black, are all revealed to be demons of some sort. But he is brought to his sister, who is doing tattoos in the back of this bar. She says she is there by choice, but Danny kidnaps her, brings her to his car, and they end up on their way to the desert being trailed by locals. It is revealed that his sister Jessie killed their parents, and she felt like she deserved to be where she was. So the demons come and they take Danny away, and Jessie leaves in the car. She smiles and turns on the radio, but once again she is stalked by our, And finally, we are left with The Way In. This segment, this and The Way Out, I think they're so good. The first time that I finished this anthology, I had to go back and watch The Way Out after watching The Way In because it just wraps around so good. So let's start with a family eating at a restaurant. On their way out, they are being watched by a stranger in the parking lot who ends up following them back to their vacation home. When three masked men break into their home, the father realizes he knows the men and what they want. He begs them to save his family, but one of the men whispers into his wife's ear what he did, and we're not ever explicitly privy to what he actually did. But we can assume that there was some sort of disappearance, maybe even a rape, a murder of Mitch's daughter. And I'm only inferring that because Mitch then whispers an eye for an eye before killing his wife in front of him. The family's daughter tries to fight off the men when she is spared and told to leave, just go away. As she runs away, they kill her father, but not before, leaving the picture of Mitch's daughter right in his view, so that was the last thing that he had to see before he died. Did I ruin that? Did I preemptively tell you that that was Mitch? Because my notes tell me that I preemptively told you that that was Mitch from the beginning. I'm just very excited about this right now. Anyways, the daughter, her name is Jem, she comes back and tries to fight all three men. She is accidentally killed, and the men feel extremely guilty but have to leave. They know they have to leave. Outside though, the ground splits open, and our spine Dementor friends start coming out of the dead bodies that are there. The family that's dead, that's where they come out of. Are they just guilt that follows them through this whole story? Is that just a looming sense of guilt? Anyways, the men try to leave, but they are chased down by the floating fuckery. One of their friends was killed, but Mitch and Jack end up leaving and get back onto the highway. As they are driving, they are being followed, they are being stalked, and Mitch notices but chooses not to tell Jack. So I guess all in all, Mitch knew what was coming and Jack didn't, and that's why he tried to run and died, and Mitch just accepted his fate. So that's where the movie ends. I know that was a lot, thank you for bearing with me, but let's talk about ratings really quickly. For storytelling, this gets an 8 out of 10. Originality was definitely there, and even the least exciting segment still felt interesting and engaging. For scares, we also get an 8 out of 10. It was creepy, scary, gross, intense, all wrapped in one. That's the way I like it. For cohesiveness, this also gets an 8 out of 10 because each segment picked up where the last left off. And everything, for the most part, felt fluid, and the two stories that bookended the entire movie, they were so together, and I love that so much. So overall, this gets an 8 out of 10 for me, and I think that is acceptable. I believe the first time I saw this, I gave it a 4 out of 5, so right there. I love this movie. I think it is a great anthology. If you are looking for something more original, something you haven't seen, definitely check out Southbound. That is where I will leave you today. Tomorrow's movie is Body Bags, from the year that I was born, 1993. It is a John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper movie, so stay tuned for that. I will see you tomorrow. Sayonara, Spook fam.